In the gleaming towers of Pinnacle Enterprises, Aisha Thompson, a brilliant black intern, steps into a world of cutthroat ambition and veiled racism. Mocked for her humble background, she's dismissed as just the coffee girl by smug executives. But Aisha hides a secret, a razor-sharp mind and a mysterious past tied to the company's darkest dealings. When she stumbles on a cryptic email hinting at the CEO's corruption, the stakes skyrocket. Will Aisha risk everything to expose the truth, or will prejudice crush her first? The battle for justice begins now. The glass skyscraper of Pinnacle Enterprises loomed over Chicago's skyline, its sleek facade hiding a cesspool of greed. Aisha Thompson, 24, adjusted her thrift store blazer and stepped off the elevator onto the 42nd floor. Her heart pounded, not from nerves, but from the weight of her mission. As the only black intern in a sea of Ivy League suits, she was used to the sneers, the whispers. She's just here for diversity points. Today, though, Aisha carried a secret that could shatter their world. "Coffee, sweetheart," barked Greg, a senior VP with a smirk that made her skin crawl. Aisha forced a smile, handing him a latte while mentally cataloging his every move. She'd learned early to blend in, to let their assumptions about her, poor, uneducated, invisible, become her shield. But Aisha was no ordinary intern. A computer science prodigy, she'd hacked her way into Pinnacle's internship program, driven by a rumor that tied the company to her father's downfall years ago. Her father, Marcus Thompson, had been a whistleblower at Pinnacle a decade prior, exposing unsafe factory conditions. The retaliation was swift. He was fired, discredited, and driven to ruin. Aisha, then a teenager, watched her family crumble. Now, armed with a laptop and a thirst for justice, she was here to uncover what Pinnacle was hiding. At her cubicle, Aisha sifted through mundane tasks, spreadsheets, emails, busy work meant to keep her small. But last night, while working late, she'd noticed an encrypted email in the CEO's public folder, a glitch in the system. It mentioned Project Eclipse and a $10 million transfer to an offshore account. Her pulse quickened. This was no clerical error. It was a lead. As she dug deeper, using her coding skills to bypass firewalls, Aisha overheard Greg and another exec, Linda, laughing nearby. "The black intern thinks she's one of us," Linda scoffed. "Let her fetch coffee till she quits." Aisha's jaw tightened, but she stayed silent, her fingers flying over the keyboard. She uncovered a hidden server, its files locked behind layers of encryption. Whatever Project Eclipse was, it was big and dirty. By noon, Aisha had a plan. She'd need to access the CEO's private terminal, but that meant sneaking into his office, a fortress guarded by security and his loyal assistant, Karen. As she plotted, her phone buzzed. An anonymous text. "Stop digging, or you'll end up like your father." Her breath caught. Someone knew. Someone was watching. That evening, Aisha lingered after hours, her heart racing as she slipped into the CEO's empty office. The terminal glowed, a gateway to truth. But as she plugged in her flash drive, footsteps echoed outside. Karen's voice cut through the silence. "Who's in there?" Aisha froze, her future and her father's legacy hanging in the balance. Aisha's heart thundered as she ducked beneath the CEO's desk, the flash drive still plugged into the terminal. Karen's heels clicked closer, her voice sharp. "I know someone's here." Aisha held her breath, her mind racing. She'd come too far to get caught now. The terminal screen flickered, downloading files labeled Project Eclipse. If she could just hold out a few more seconds. Earlier that day, Aisha had mapped out her strategy. The CEO, Richard Hargrove, was untouchable, a silver-haired titan with a smile that charmed investors and a ruthlessness that crushed enemies. But Aisha's late-night digging had revealed cracks in his empire. Project Eclipse wasn't just a shady deal. It tied to Pinnacle's new factory in Malaysia, where whispers of worker exploitation echoed her father's old warnings. Aisha knew the truth could destroy Hargrove, but only if she survived long enough to expose it. As Karen's footsteps paused, Aisha's mind flashed to her father's final days. Marcus had been a proud man, a factory supervisor who believed in doing right. When he reported unsafe conditions, Pinnacle painted him as a liar. The stress broke him, leaving Aisha and her mother to scrape by. That pain fueled her now, steadying her trembling hands as she unplugged the drive and slipped it into her pocket. Karen left, muttering about damn interns, and Aisha exhaled, slipping out of the office. But her relief was short-lived. In the hallway, Greg loomed, his eyes narrowing. "Late-night coffee, girl?" he sneered. Aisha mumbled an excuse, but his gaze lingered, suspicious. She needed allies, and fast. The next morning, Aisha confided in Jamal, a black janitor who'd always been kind to her. "They're hiding something big," she whispered, showing him a cryptic file from the drive. Jamal's face hardened. "My cousin worked at their old factory. Got hurt, got fired. Be careful, Aisha." His warning echoed the anonymous text, but Aisha couldn't stop. She decrypted another file, a memo linking Hargrove to illegal waste dumping. The stakes were climbing. By afternoon, Aisha noticed Karen watching her, whispering to security. She had to move faster. Using a burner laptop, she hacked into Pinnacle's security cameras, spotting Hargrove meeting a shadowy figure in a private boardroom. The audio was garbled, but one word stood out: eclipse. Aisha's blood ran cold. Whatever this was, it went higher than she'd imagined. As she left work, a black SUV trailed her. Aisha quickened her pace, her pulse pounding. At home, she found her apartment door ajar. Someone had been inside. On her desk, a note: last warning. Aisha clutched the flash drive, her resolve hardening. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. Aisha's hands shook as she locked her apartment door. The note's warning seared into her mind. She couldn't trust anyone at Pinnacle, but she wasn't alone. Jamal's words rang in her ears. "Be careful." He knew the company's cruelty firsthand. Aisha needed his help to decode the growing puzzle of Project Eclipse. At work, Aisha kept her head down, but the air felt charged. Greg and Linda's whispers followed her, their eyes sharp with suspicion. During lunch, she met Jamal in the basement break room. "I found proof," she whispered, showing him the memo about illegal dumping. Jamal's jaw tightened. "My cousin nearly died from that factory's toxins. If you've got evidence, I'm in." Aisha felt a spark of hope. Jamal wasn't just a janitor. He was a survivor, like her. Together, they pored over the files. Project Eclipse wasn't just about money. It involved bribing officials to ignore environmental violations at Pinnacle's new factory. Hargrove's name was everywhere, but so was another: Senator Elaine Carter, a powerful figure with deep ties to the company. Aisha's stomach churned. This was bigger than she'd feared. To get more, Aisha needed access to Hargrove's private email server, but it required a keycard only executives had. Jamal had an idea. "I clean the exec suites. I can get you close." That night, they executed a risky plan. Jamal distracted security while Aisha slipped into Linda's office, swiping her keycard. Her heart pounded as she accessed the server, downloading emails that confirmed Carter's involvement. But as she logged out, an alarm blared. Someone had triggered a silent security protocol. Aisha bolted, meeting Jamal in the stairwell. "They're on to us," he panted. As they fled, Aisha's phone buzzed. Another anonymous text. "You can't hide." Her mind raced. Who was tracking her? Was it Hargrove, Carter, or someone else? The next day, Aisha noticed security cameras swiveling toward her. At her desk, she found a new file planted on her computer, fake evidence framing her for embezzlement. Pinnacle was trying to silence her, just like her father. Aisha's anger flared. She wasn't giving up. She uploaded the emails to a secure cloud, sharing access with Jamal. "If anything happens to me," she told him, "get this to the press." As she left work, the black SUV reappeared, closer this time. Aisha ducked into an alley, her breath ragged. A figure stepped out of the shadows, a woman, her face obscured. "You're in over your head, Aisha," she said, "but I can help." Who was this stranger? And could Aisha trust her? The woman in the alley stepped forward, her face catching the streetlight. Elena Martinez, a disgraced journalist who'd once tried to expose Pinnacle. "I know what they did to your father," Elena said. "Help me, and we'll bring them down." Aisha hesitated. Elena's articles had cost her career. Could she be trusted, or was this a trap? Aisha shared the emails about Project Eclipse, and Elena's eyes widened. "This ties Hargrove to Carter and a network of bribes, but we need hard evidence, documents, recordings." Aisha nodded, her resolve steeling. Elena had contacts at a major news outlet, but they'd need to move fast. Pinnacle was closing in. At work, the fake embezzlement file loomed over Aisha. Greg confronted her in the break room, his voice dripping with venom. "You're done here, intern." Aisha kept her cool, but fear gnawed at her. If Pinnacle pinned this on her, she'd lose everything. She needed to strike first. With Jamal's help, Aisha rigged a tiny microphone in Hargrove's office during a cleaning shift. The next day, she overheard a call between Hargrove and Carter discussing a final payment to bury Eclipse's paper trail. Aisha recorded it, her hands trembling. This was the smoking gun, but getting it to Elena meant risking exposure. That night, Aisha met Elena at a diner, passing her the recording. "This is explosive," Elena said, "but they'll come for you." As if on cue, Aisha's phone lit up, a photo of her and Elena at the diner, sent from an unknown number. Someone was watching, and they were one step ahead. Back at Pinnacle, Aisha noticed Karen rifling through her desk. Confronting her, Aisha saw fear in Karen's eyes. "You don't know what you're up against," Karen whispered before hurrying away. Aisha's mind raced. Was Karen an enemy or a potential ally? Before she could decide, security guards approached, demanding to search her bag. The recording was still on her. Aisha's heart raced as the guards loomed closer. Thinking fast, she slipped the recording's USB into her shoe and handed over her bag. "Nothing here," she said, voice steady despite her fear. The guards found nothing, but their glares promised trouble. Aisha knew time was running out. Back at her apartment, she called Elena. "They're framing me for embezzlement. We need to go public now." Elena agreed but needed one more piece, a physical document tying Hargrove to the bribes. Aisha remembered seeing a locked safe in Hargrove's office. If she could crack it, they'd have everything. Jamal devised a plan. During Pinnacle's gala, security would be distracted. Aisha dressed in a borrowed gown, blending into the glitzy crowd. As Hargrove gave a speech about corporate integrity, Aisha slipped into his office, her lockpicking skills, learned from her father's old tools, put to the test. The safe opened, revealing contracts stamped with Carter's signature. Jackpot. But as Aisha photographed the documents, Greg burst in. "I knew you were trouble," he snarled, grabbing her arm. Aisha fought back, knocking over a lamp that crashed loudly. Security rushed toward the noise. With seconds to spare, Aisha sent the photos to Elena and bolted, Greg's shouts echoing behind her. She reached Jamal in the parking lot, breathless. "I got it," she panted, showing him the files. But as they sped away, the black SUV reappeared, its headlights blinding. Aisha gripped the wheel, her heart pounding. Was this the end of her fight? Aisha floored the gas, the SUV hot on their tail. Jamal shouted directions as they weaved through Chicago's streets. Losing the pursuers, Aisha pulled into an alley, her hands shaking. "We can't stop now," Jamal urged. Aisha nodded, uploading the final evidence to Elena's secure server. The truth was out. The next morning, Elena's article hit every major outlet. Pinnacle CEO linked to bribery, toxic dumping. The internet exploded. Aisha watched from a coffee shop as Pinnacle's stock plummeted. Protesters gathered outside the skyscraper chanting for justice. Hargrove's empire was crumbling. At Pinnacle, chaos reigned. Aisha arrived, blending into the crowd as feds stormed the building. Hargrove was arrested, his face pale as cameras flashed. Senator Carter resigned hours later, her career in ruins. Aisha caught Karen's eye in the chaos. She nodded, a silent acknowledgement. Karen had tipped off the feds, her conscience finally breaking. Aisha met Jamal and Elena later, the weight of her fight lifting. "You did it," Elena said. "Your father would be proud." Aisha smiled, tears welling. She'd cleared Marcus's name and exposed Pinnacle's rot. But the victory wasn't just hers. It was for every worker silenced, every voice ignored. Months later, Aisha launched a tech startup mentoring young black coders. Pinnacle's factory was shut down, its workers compensated. Aisha's story inspired a movement, with justice for Marcus trending worldwide. She'd turned pain into power, proving one voice could change everything.